Today, NTT Data, with a legacy in healthcare, is pleased to share with you our partnership with CARPL.ai, and we'll go into the agenda. This is a little bit about NTT and our legacy in healthcare and artificial intelligence, focused on data-driven healthcare, specifically around artificial intelligence today. With me on today's webinar is Dr. Mahajan. Vidur, perhaps you can give us a brief background on yourself.
Sure. No, thank you so much, Mitch. It's an absolute honor, privilege, one, to be sharing the stage with you, somebody who I look up to personally and professionally, and two, to be partnering with NTT Data. We've been working on this for a while, and it's great to see it come to fruition. To all the listeners there, thank you for joining. CARPL is a medical imaging AI platform that allows you to connect to multiple AI systems without having to deal with multiple AI systems. And that's the problem we're solving. We'll go deeper into it. I serve as the Chief Executive Officer. I sometimes think of myself as the Chief Blame Officer as well. So happy to chat about that offline. But thank you, Mitch, once again, and excited for the next 45 minutes or so.
That's right. Well, thank you, Vidur, and I'm as proud to share the stage with you as well. Today's conversation will be focusing on our practical experience and a focus on how we can partner with how we do partner with our customers, who not only are providers like yourselves on the call, but also the industry partners, and talk about the challenges of adoption throughout healthcare, talk about our framework for adoption strategies, and then we're going to delve a little bit into the CARPL platform supported by NTT Data Services. As consultants to the industry, we are bringing to you an ecosystem where NTT is bringing together the providers who are using artificial intelligence, the developers who are creating the opportunity to automate and predict based on algorithms the patient's health and journey, and working with life sciences and bringing that connection to the provider market so that we can look at patient journeys and understand the biomarkers associated with disease. Collectively, we're all looking to improve patient outcomes and improve productivity through artificial intelligence. This environment also allows us as NTT Data Services and CARPL to be in a unique position to sit down with committees and councils who are looking at what should be the AI adoption strategy and give you perspectives from across the different players in healthcare so that you can help understand where the focus of development is and where the advancements will be taking place shortly. This is a very dynamic market. With that said, advocating AI at scale is full of challenges. The challenges are that sometimes the artificial intelligence marketplace is difficult to access. It's complex with hundreds of different algorithms that are out there, complex implementations and contracts in a very fragmented way. It's also clear through our experience with CARPL and CARPL's experience with providers that there is a lack of generalizability, meaning that one algorithm not only doesn't work across all facilities, but some facilities need to adopt multiple algorithms for the same clinical scenario because outpatient imaging and hospital imaging introduce different machines, different artifacts. So it's important to be able to experiment, validate, and understand how these many algorithms are going to impact the performance of your institution. And lastly, it's also important to understand that it's not a one-time event. multiple releases of artificial intelligence comes out, your practice evolves, machines get replaced. So it's important to the packs get replaced. All of these are impactful when it comes to intelligent automation with artificial intelligence, and having a plan in place to address that sustainability is critical to the framework we're here to talk about. In fact, many of you may have been at SIM 2023 in Austin, and one of the themes that came out of the practicum sessions that they had was that a fragmented approach, even with places that have vendors that have marketplaces, it's not about the marketplace, it's about the platform and the integration of those AI tools that is complex and simplified with a single tool and a methodology that's consistent that'll drive the successful adoption of artificial intelligence. So we're advocating the adoption of artificial intelligence at scale, right? Not just workflow artificial intelligence, but the artificial intelligence that helps automate some of the segmentation tasks, the artificial intelligence that looks at population health biomarkers, the artificial intelligence that can come down to predicting outcomes or indicating areas of risk where radiologists need to focus on. The key is focusing on the Department of Radiology and Imaging, but also the downstream effect of adoption of artificial intelligence. So these are just some of the key issues at adopting at scale that you should consider when looking at which clinical scenarios should be my priority, right? How do I create a clinical scenario that would have the greatest impact on productivity, meaning patient throughput through your department, radiologist productivity? Which clinical scenarios would allow me to create a center of excellence, which could increase my revenues? Which clinical scenarios would give me better outcomes, talking about incidental findings through more consistent reporting of those elements? How am I going to integrate all of these artificial intelligence algorithms into my reporting workflow and systems in a consistent manner, given that each artificial intelligence algorithm has a slightly different output? All of these are challenges that we have a framework to help you address. And what is that framework? The framework begins with understanding that artificial intelligence, while full of challenges and rapidly evolving, is an exciting area that you should be participating in to be competitive in this healthcare market space today. There's nowhere else in healthcare that combines the access to artificial intelligence by also being a bleeding edge for patient engagement other than medical imaging, especially in radiology. What we're able to do as CARPL and NTT Data is bring a marketplace and a hosted environment that can prepare your data and allow you to play, to try and buy, to discover just what artificial intelligence is out there and how different algorithms might parlay into opportunities for productivity, clinical outcome impact, or revenue increase. By having that discovery phase in our framework, it allows you to work with the key influencers, the chief medical officers, be the clinical champion to your AI committees and say that you have actually touched it. This is not a sales pitch. This is from a vendor. This is, I worked, validated with the support of NTT and CARPL on these 4 or 5 different algorithms for this clinical area, and look at what we can accomplish having just played with the opportunity. Once we have taken you beyond the sandbox, what we want to do is look at specific tools that we bring to your environment, to bring cohorts that we can use to explore specific performance of algorithms, and then validate that to come up with a baseline of performance, not only statistically, but also, and Vidur will get into this in a moment, talk about how we can have a clinical validation as well, so that it's not only a level of comfort to the committee and the clinical staff that the acceptable, the ROC curves or AUC is an acceptable statistic, but that as you're reading these images, you're agreeing with the output and doing clinical validation. Given that threshold of confirmation, we then work with your radiologists and clinical departments through a single user interface to create an orchestrated workflow to have not only singular AI, but also concert AI, where we can bring multiple algorithms together so that you can have a consensus, and that consensus outcome can then be singularly integrated into your reporting system. Deployment also comes with an opportunity to sustain the work that you've implemented. And sustaining, but what I mean by sustaining, is understanding that over time, packs get replaced, modalities get upgraded with new software, artificial intelligence gets upgraded. All of those upgrades need to be revalidated and monitored so that there's a consistent performance that everyone who went through the validation process agreed upon prior to deployment. We strongly feel that having this framework will accelerate the adoption of artificial intelligence by reducing the complexity of evaluating, trying and buying, building cohorts, having to staff up and do all the contracts with multiple vendors. Everything happens through a single framework with a single platform. It's software as a service from NTT Data that comes with our consulting expertise in clinical and data science, combined with the strength and depth of CARPL, not only from their platform and world-class library, but also because of their expertise and that they've developed over multiple deployments that Vidur will speak to. With that, let me leave you with these thoughts. It's not man versus machine, it's man with machine versus man without. A machine learning professor, Pedro Domingos, out of the University of Washington, wrote that a while back in one of his publications. I've kind of augmented that with something from a Harvard Business Review article about data is changing how we create value and compete. Healthcare is very competitive today, we all know. But as a consumer and user of artificial intelligence, you can let AI define your role or define your role using AI. And with that, I think Vidur is going to discuss how you can define your role and be more competitive in the market space. Vidur?
Thank you for that, Mitch. Always mind-blowing. Taking this forward, right? So what is CARPL, right? I think we've talked about some of the challenges. It's difficult to access AI. It's next to impossible to assess it at scale, and then integration itself is a challenge. So I think we are all familiar with this workflow, right? The patient walks into our imaging center, into our department. We scan them using, all sorts of high-end scanners. There's an image that's generated. The image is read by a radiologist. A report gets generated that eventually goes to the clinician. This has been the traditional, if I may call it, workflow for the past several decades in which radiology has operated. And over the last 5, 7, 8 years, there's been an influx of automation tools, of AI tools, right? There's tools that automate the clinical processes, right? Automatic report creation, triaging, so on and so forth. There's AI tools that drive treatment, right? What medicine to give. There's radiogenomics is now becoming a real thing. And then, of course, there's AI tools that are predicting disease outcomes. In fact, most recently, as last week, there's a paper that says that a chest X-ray can be used to predict the onset and presence of type 2 diabetes mellitus. So there's a whole host of tools out there, all of whom are competing with each other to come into our clinical workflows. So at CARPL, what we decided to be was the intermediary layer, where not only do we enable all of these tools to go through a single user interface into this clinical workflow, through a single data channel and through a single procurement channel into this workflow, but we also allow feedback and data that is generated as part of this process to go back to these AI developers. And what does that mean? Well, on the utilization of AI, Mitch talked about it extensively. There's improved access to healthcare. There's improved, obviously reduced costs, which leads to improved affordability. And needless to say, the actual clinical care delivered improves. On the other hand, as we take these insights back to this AI ecosystem, there is faster, better development of AI. And of course, more and more AI gets developed. So it's almost like think of it like a flywheel. The more AI you adopt, the better insights you build about that AI, the more AI gets built, and this whole flywheel effect comes in. At CARPL, we are proud of the fact that we are today the world's largest AI marketplace. We have almost 105 different AI applications, all for radiology, integrated onto our platform. We are also the world's first AI testing and monitoring platform. At the end, once you guys reach out, we'd be more than willing to do a demo for you of that aspect of our platform. And we're proud to say that we're deployed at some of the world's leading clinical and research groups, which I'll go into deeper. So at our core, we are a vendor neutral testing and deployment platform for imaging AI. It does not matter what AI you are trying to use from what vendor. It does not matter what risks, what packs, what modalities you're using. We sit in the middle, acting as a single layer, connecting these two disparate ecosystems. Moving forward, this is our ecosystem. This is our world that we live in today. On the left-hand side are all the AI applications that we provide. As you can see, and this list is perpetually growing. I'm sure by the time we added it to this presentation, we've already added a few more logos. But as you can see, head CT, brain MR, there's an influx of applications, right? And most of these companies across the board are valued, all the way from a few $100 million to even now near unicorns in our industry. So I'm sure many of you would be familiar with these logos. I'll not go deeper into that. But the idea here is, of course, we want to show the breadth of our offerings, but we also want to show the breadth of what is available and what is happening. Because our goal is not to let the best sales team win on the AI side, but is to actually allow healthcare providers such as yourselves to derive the encapsulated value of the entire AI ecosystem. And so what that means is, why should you only use chest X-ray AI because the chest X-ray AI sales guy was smart enough to be able to reach you? You should be able to use brain MR, head CT, chest X-ray, chest CT, and mammo all simultaneously, and deploy them extremely fast, extremely efficiently, without having to deal with so many different companies. So that's our offering in a nutshell. On the right hand side are some of our current users. As you would notice, it's essentially a combination of the world's largest players, IMED, Radiology Partners, the Singapore Government Health System are amongst the world's largest healthcare providers in the domain of radiology, all the way to the, some of the more prestigious academic medical centers, MGH, Stanford, Jefferson, what have you. So the idea is AI is evolving. AI is ever evolving. In fact, if you see, the goalpost also keeps changing for AI. So academia has to be a part of it, right? Academia has to be an early adopter. Academia has to prove the clinical accuracy of AI. But the proof lies in the private sector, right? Are radiologists truly becoming faster? Is AI truly saving money? Is AI truly saving more lives? Those questions are answered on the private side. So that's where, strategically, we like working with both sides of the provider ecosystem. And, our install base is, I believe, representative of that. Moving forward, what is the utility of a platform that allows you to simply test AI, right? So as Mitch showed, we have this thing called the DevD framework, where Dev is the process of testing AI, of figuring out what AI is the best for you. And D is then the process of taking that AI and deploying it across the enterprise, right? So here, I'm sure many of people who are seeing this get approached by AI companies every day, every week, every month. So how do you deal with all of those AI companies? It's you always want to say yes, right? You always want to test them out. You always want to see whether they're working or not. So typically, what we've seen is that one single AI pilot, depending on the location, the geography, and the scale of your organization, can cost anywhere between $10,000 to $100,000, right? Why? Well, because before you actually decide to pilot an AI solution, your leadership team is engaging with that company, right? You're reviewing their demos, you're reading research papers, you're having internal meetings, should I test this thing? Should I not? Is it useful? Is it not useful? All sorts of discussion are happening to figure out whether or not this AI solution is even something that I would like to try, let alone, take through to production. Once you've decided to pilot, then come all the reviews, right? There's an architecture review from an IT standpoint. There's a security review, again, from an IT standpoint. There's a legal review. Of course, we are nothing without our legal teams. Then the commercial team gets involved, right? There's negotiations. What happens if the pilot is successful? What are those success criteria? So on and so forth. Then you need project management resources to make sure all of this stuff happens well in time. Once you've crossed this chasm, you get to provisioning infrastructure to actually run the AI. Where do I, it's AI, it's a software, it needs a computer to run. Where do you put it? What are the hardware requirements? What operating system? How much? Yeah, there's a ton of, that's an entire different 45-minute webinar of its own. After that, how do you get data to that AI algorithm? Well, you integrate with your PACS, you integrate with your RIS, you de-identify the data, and you check whether the de-identification even works. So all of these things happen to get you to a point where you finally review clinical outputs, right? And your radiologists are then able to take a call on whether or not an AI solution is even then worth taking to the next level, which is clinical deployment. Here, of course, if you're dealing with 5 different companies, you have 5 different viewers that are being used for seeing those AI outputs. Obviously there's lag time between each of those solutions. There's no feedback. That's difficult to compare them, so on and so forth. With CARPL, you take us through step 1 to 4, and you never have to do it again for any other AI solution, right? We essentially make the incremental cost of AI pilots 0. we have our single AI viewer that is the only thing that then you care about at the end of the process. And again, as I mentioned, happy to do dedicated demos at a separate time for folks on this call. So this is the pilot acceleration, right? This is how do you test out 5, 10 different chest X-ray AI solutions to figure out what AI or what combination of AI is best for you. Well, now you have that answer. Well, once that is done, we move to deployment, right? What happens in deployment? Well, it doesn't matter how many AI systems you're running. For you, for the client, it is a single integration. All you have to do is get data to us and we handle the rest, right? You don't need to worry about compliances. You don't need to worry about infrastructure. You don't need to worry about contracting, right? All of it gets handled by a single platform. And at the end, all that AI also gets consumed through a single user interface. So on the right-hand side, we're showing an example of our viewer integrated with IntelliRad, one of the more widely utilized PACS systems. We can do this with most popular PACS systems out there, Fujifilm, Philips, what have you. And the idea is to open our universal AI viewer within your existing PACS environment. So why should a radiologist need to toggle between different viewers, different widgets, different PACS systems to see AI outputs that are from different algorithms? In our case, we simply load all outputs within your PACS in a single viewer, and you don't need to go into different, worlds, if I may say, to see those AI outputs. There are other advantages to this as well. From a medical legal standpoint, you don't need to send AI outputs to PACS without them having been reviewed by a radiologist. A radiologist can accept, reject, or modify AI outputs so that, tomorrow, God forbid, if somebody subpoenas your PACS and sees an AI output there, it's correct, right? It's been reviewed by a human. Of course, our viewer is optimized for AI outputs. You can use our viewer to give feedback on AI performance, which allows you to monitor it, which allows you to check for things like data drift, concept drift, model drift, which are all very real things that are going to become part of our lives very, very quickly. So in summary, CARPL provides you with a single technology interface to not only use AI, but also figure out which AI is the best for you, and thereby maximize the value that you derive from AI, and also not leave you disillusioned with the AI ecosystem, not leave you having an opinion about 50 companies by only trying out 2, because you fell into this thing what we feel we call it integration fatigue. You're just tired of integrating AI solutions that you don't want to integrate anymore, but the best AI solution might actually be one that you've not tested as yet. So with that, I'll open it up for Q&A. You can reach out to us at this email ID. I'm sure all of you have contacts at either NTT or CARPL already. Please feel free to reach out. And Mitch, over to you for Q&A.
Well, thank you very much, Vidur. That was really an enthusiastic summary of what I was trying to start off with. I think there are a couple takeaways, and we have a couple questions. One of the things that NTT does provide is the automation through our consulting and tools to help build those test data sets. The other thing that Vidur showed in his presentation was that whole IT architecture challenge, especially when you're trying to have fun, when you want to explore the world of artificial intelligence. By NTT hosting in our secure cloud, the CARPL application, you're able to play and see the results, not only of the comparing the AI results to diagnostic reports, but also see the segmentation and output of AI on the images, all on de-identified data. So it's a true playground as that avoids that integration fatigue, the contract fatigue, and allows you to go to the AI steering committees and your colleagues and say, check this out. Look what I've discovered. Define yourself by how you use AI. Don't fret on how AI is going to define you. So that was really exciting, and thank you very much, Vidur. It's always so much fun to be on the podium with you. One of the questions that was submitted was, what if I have an existing AI solution at my site? Will it work with CARPL?
Yeah, so it depends on the AI solution. We are, as I said, completely vendor agnostic, so we can integrate almost any radiology AI solution onto our platform. In case there is hesitancy towards that end, we can even continue to use that AI solution's front end, but use our back end in the process. What that allows folks to do, and this is one of our more widely used use cases, is at least start monitoring the performance of that AI in real time, right? So one of the problems with simply going ahead and running AI is that there's no way to easily test on a day-to-day basis what the performance of my AI is. So we have seen scenarios where the AI provider is already running at an academic institute, and we come in and then enable the monitoring of that solution. But short answer is that given the fact that we work with almost everyone in the ecosystem, we are generally able to make that switch.
That's great. And the next question was, can you talk a little bit about the validation? What does to validate clinically and statistically mean in your slides?
Yeah, for sure. So you're taking a step back. Why validate, right? Why should we just not start using any AI that's regulatory approved directly, right? So one thing that folks need to know about AI in general and deep learning more specifically is that there is this problem of generalizability that deep learning has, which essentially means that there might be a solution that works really well at Mitch's hospital, but doesn't work well at mine because Mitch uses GE equipment and I use Philips equipment, and the AI was trained on GE data and not on mine or something like that, right? So but that is a question that you'll not be able to answer until and unless you truly take data from the hospital or from the imaging center, run it through 4 different AI solutions, and then compare the performance of those 4 AI solutions on that data. Right? So what does that take? Well, the first time we're doing that, it does involve creating cohorts of data. It does involve, pulling out, let's say, 1,000 chest X-rays and labeling them as at least a normal or an abnormal, and running them through those 4 AI systems and creating those performance reports, right? But the beautiful part is, the moment we have a 5th AI solution that comes along, we've already got our cohort ready on the platform. That then automatically CARPL enables the running of that 5th AI on this data, running the comparisons and giving you a pop-up essentially to say that, hey, here's a new AI solution that's come up. Your previous one had a sensitivity of 0.98. This one has 0.99. Do you want to check it out? So that's how it takes. In terms of timelines, we've done validations, as fast as a day to all the way to 2 to 3 weeks. depending on how long it takes to pull the data, curate it, and that's the end point. Like after the curation, everything is automated. And we do push fairly aggressively for pre-deployment validation, because it also puts in guardrails, right? So the point of a validation is not just to know what the performance of the AI is. It's also to figure out what it's good at. It's almost like an interview, right? It doesn't matter, you may have studied from the world's greatest residency program, doesn't mean you don't get interviewed for the job, right? Everybody has some good things, some bad things, some things they have to work on. So similarly, it's highly likely that you do this validation exercise and you realize that for chest x-rays in the ICU, you want to use one AI, and for chest x-rays in the outpatient, you want to use the other AI. Even within that, for males, you want to use one, and for females, you want to use one. So there's infinite level of depth that one can go to in terms of figuring out what AI is best for what application. So that's why, there's that's kind of the importance of validation before deployment.
Yeah, and one other piece of color, and then we'll get to a new question that just came in. Our tools that automate the HIPAA compliant access to the VNA or PACS and automate that building of the cohort really helps speed the statistical validation. We've also found that there are people who are specialists in MR of the head, but it's nice to have clinical validation as a consensus across a practice in a hospital, so that there's no subsequent, well, I didn't get a chance to review it kind of comments, right? We want to take sufficient time and then sit down and talk amongst the radiologists and with the AI committee. We found it very helpful to say, this is the baseline, everyone in the department is comfortable. And then when things start to drift, it's not a surprise, see, I told you so. It's something that we can document. And that's where our consulting services can come in and help. The last thing I want to point out is the hidden gem that you mentioned, which was the rules-based deployment, right? Rules-based deployment is not only based on who the patient is, it can be based on what procedure was applied to what protocol, sorry, not procedure, what protocol was used in acquiring the study, which modality, which location, which doctor. All of those are very important, and focuses on why we've selected CARPL as our partner. It's a true cockpit for radiology, right? Everything that Vidur's pointed out, I've been in the PACS business for a very long time, and there was this thing called cockpit fatigue, when people were using swivel chairs to look at different consoles for different solutions. The insight that CARPL brings to have an integrated platform for all the AI output as a hanging protocol for reviewing and looking at clinical validation is just one of the many examples of what sets them apart. One of the questions that just came in, and I'm conscious of time, we've got about 5 more minutes here, Vidur. One of the attendees is talking about, does your solution accelerate communication to the referring physicians of acute findings?
Yeah, so thank you, John, for that question. As of today, our interface is dedicated for radiologists. Our goal is to accelerate the adoption of AI by radiologists. So we don't have an app as on date for communication of AI results with referring physicians. That said, we can obviously integrate with viewers that are used by referring physicians. So it's in our product pipeline to start figuring out, how to get these AI outputs both to the radiologists and to the referring physicians at the fastest possible way. But today we are focused exclusively on radiologists and how to make radiologists faster, better, exponentially using AI.
And to add color to that, in the many years that Vidur and I have been working in the industry, it is a understanding where your technology fits in the ecosystem produces the best results, and to keep a focus on where CARPL is focused on the adoption of AI for the productivity of diagnostic imaging. I think the communication of the results, there are some nuance, M-modal, all of these applications have that capability. And if we incorporate into the workflow and into the HL7 message, the results of the artificial intelligence that's been reviewed by the radiologist, so there's the complete handoff and acceptance of the output, and we put that into the appropriate reporting system very easily. Those applications have a viewer, they have the escalation procedures, and if they so choose, and you as a customer so choose to put the CARPL series into your PACS, the annotated AI output, then not only can the primary care or referring physician see the results of the diagnostic report, but he can double click on the image and that specific series can be viewed on the mobile app application.
Yeah, perfect, Mitch. Just to maybe paraphrase what you just said, we don't have our own app, but we can piggyback on all other communication systems that exist in a healthcare provider.
Exactly. Well, well digested. And so with that, I think
there's a new question, Mitch, that has just come in.
Yeah. What is your experience with who decides which AI scenario should be given priority? So that's a great question. Let me start, and then Vidur, you can pick up real quick.
Sure.
Our experience is first, as NTT Data works with and supports the CARPL deployments here in the United States and elsewhere, our experience has been that there's a AI advocate within the imaging space, and often coming back from a trade show, reading an article, meeting with somebody who's very excited about an AI application, they will be the impetus to figure out how to evaluate that. Not figure out how, figure out that they want to evaluate it, and that's often goes to the committee. As you saw with Vidur's slide, it's often a 7-8 step process. What makes it very exciting is that we're democratizing who gets to decide which AI scenario should be given priority by creating a sandbox and making the impact of playing with AI so far less than it is if somebody were to come to you with an individual solution. So with that, Vidur, what's your thought on that question?
No, I think that's absolutely right, Mitch. The way we've seen this play out, and every organization has a different approach to this, but generally, it's the chair of radiology who designates somebody as an AI champion, typically in an organization, and then that AI champion designates different subspecialty leaders to go deeper. So it's a consensus approach between these subspecialty leaders across their specialties. That is one. Second is, in many instances, the CFO also becomes involved, right? And it ends up being a pitch from the clinical team to the finance team to say that, hey, get us, this suite of AI solutions, or get us this platform. It will not only drive this much clinical value, but also this much financial value. And that is typically our moment of truth, where we can convert AI into dollars saved or dollars earned. Generally, it's today dollars saved. And yeah, so that's how we've seen this pan out.
Yeah, and that raises a really interesting point, because we've also interfaced with clients who want to understand, is there an ROI from adopting artificial intelligence beyond just mouse clicks, right? And looking at shorter patient stays, some of the most widely adopted AI is things that have immediate clinical impact, like stroke detection, right?
Yep.
It's very clear that the clinical outcome is very short. There's been, when NTT first started in this, data started in this space, we were looking at population health algorithms. And the challenge in that ROI is understanding exactly in the aging population, how long will it take till the bone density causes a hip fracture, right? Those are the things that become very hard to accept as a CFO, is that time between AI expense and the cost savings, right? But we've also, as NTT, and let me close with this and say, NTT has an opportunity to bring the provider and the AI developer and the life sciences teams together, as we showed in one of our initial slides, where using cohorts and sharing through license arrangements, access to cohorts can generate revenue in addition to the adoption of artificial intelligence, therefore accelerating your acceptance and non-academic adoption of artificial intelligence. So we're happy to have a call and talk and explore that opportunity for working in sharing and licensing cohorts, if that becomes a level of interest for anyone on the call. So I want to say thank you, Vidur. It's always so much fun to play in the sandbox with you. And thank you to all of the people that were able to attend today. As Vidur pointed out, on the screen is a vanity email, right? We're here to collectively, CARPL and NTT are here to advocate the adoption of artificial intelligence. So advocate AI at nttdata.com, or reach out to Vidur or myself. Many of you we've linked in with as a result of your registration. And have a great rest of your day. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mitch. Thank you, everyone. It's been an honor. Thank you.